Hello everyone, it's Justine. Today I have two cards that I'm going to be making. This one is from the Victorian collection by Susan Tierney Cockburn. And this one is the mason jar and lavender. So you can see here's the jar, and then we have some lavender sprigs that we're going to add to it. For this card, I'm using a stamp from the Stampendous Brushed Messages Perfectly Clear stamp set. I'll just show you a picture of what that looks like on the screen here. You can see it has quite a lot of sentiments and they're really fun and scripty, and I'm getting junk mail as I'm filming a video. Anyway, I took some clear embossing ink and then used silver embossing powder and just made a really pretty quick sentiment. And then with this one, I used one of the wax seals that I made with the wax seal kit from Spellbinders. I'll link that in the description as well as the specific stamp. And then I went ahead with some silver paint pen and just accented the bow part of the wax. Now, Susan Tierney Cockburn's realistic flowers are just stunning, and I've made a few of her dies in the past, and what really stands out to me about her dies is the fact that they can be 3D. So you can kind of see here on this one, there's definitely some texture, there's lift there, and to make that texture, I'm going to use some paper. Now, I just took a piece of purple cardstock and I went with two of my Copic markers and just kind of scribbled because I didn't want it to be solid. I wanted it to kind of have different colors going on. So I used these two Copics, which are V17, that was the darker one, and then BV00 on this side, just to give a little bit of color. Now, I did that before I'm cutting them out because I did not want to have to fuss with all these teeny pieces and coloring them after. So I will just get my foam pad out and ready. My foam pad is from this toolkit, which is just wonderful. It's from Susan's collection too. You can see her little logos on there. But what I'm going to use is this tool-in-one that comes with this kit that has these ball shapes on the end. And then I'm also going to grab out this black foam pad. And these are really my two favorite pieces. Of course, the reverse tweezers as well. So I guess my favorite three. But once I die cut these little shapes out, I'm going to need a place to put them. So they're going to go right there. And to die cut out, I'm just using my little sidekick here. I really do like using my platinum from Spellbinders quite a bit. But my little sidekick is perfect for small dies like this. And it fits so nicely on my desk, so we're using it. Okay. Now to save the mess a little. I don't know if I'll be using all of these, but who knows. Now, when I die cut these out, I'm noticing that yes, it's a flower shape, but it also could pass for a star. So if you're looking for 4th of July cards to make in the future, or just a patriotic card in general, I think that these are really fun little star embellishments that I think would go nicely on a card like that. Or maybe even a birthday card if you're looking for maybe some confetti to put into a shaker card. You could definitely use this die and make some little embellishments without spending money on little pieces. Just use some purple or whatever color, I guess, scrap that you might have in your stash. I love shopping my stash. It just is so exciting because you get to use things in new ways. And one stamp set that I keep going back to was that stamp set that I showed at the beginning. That stamp set just seems to have so many nice sentiments that I am really looking for. So I actually used it a couple more times in some videos here that I'm going to be posting in March, so stay tuned, and I definitely recommend picking up that stamp set because it's a good one. Okay, now to give these little flowers dimension, I'm going to just flip them over so they're going the right direction. Now to add some dimension to these flowers, now that they're all turned around the right way, I'll just zoom in here so you can see. I am using the little round ball from the two-in-one, and I'm simply just pressing down one time on each flower. I could sit there and round them out, but I really don't feel like this is that is a necessary step for what I'm trying to accomplish here. Now you can see on the card that I have on the left there, I used a few lavender pieces kind of scattered, and then on the black one on the right, I have it more clustered. So I just kind of wanted to do two different looks for the lavender itself. When I was working on designing these cards, I really just was drawn to use my wax seal again, and I wanted to make a A2 size card to go with the wax seal one, so I ended up using just the lavender sprigs themselves. But you can see this mason jar is rather large, so if you're going to make maybe a 5x7 card, this would be a great option. I know there are certain crafters out there that are not A2 size people, they are 5x7 card people to the core, so maybe this would be a great die for someone who loves 5x7. It's just kind of up to you. That was a pretty quick process to get all the flowers with a little bit of dimension, and now let's just stick them on. So I have this card base that is just a cream colored cardstock, and then I have this black pearlized cardstock. It is so pretty. I just love this pearlized cardstock. This one's from Spellbinders. I have the black one here and the white pearlized here, and they just look so beautiful with embossing folders. I just am loving them. You can see on the back I added that craft ribbon or floss, I don't know what you would technically, twine maybe, on the back, and then just cut out the extra in the center just because I didn't want to add too much bulk to the back of the card. I'll just put on the card front to the base like so. The twine that I have here, I am pretty sure this one was from Target once upon a time. It was a huge roll. I mean, it was probably as long as a Copic marker. So they're big. It's from the craft area that they have in Target. So I don't know if it's still there or not, but it was there probably last summer. I'm assuming it would be there because it's kind of like a basic item, like markers. Anyhow, all right, to attach my lavender on, I'm going to use a little bit of some Barely Art liquid glue, and I'm going to squeeze it out of my handy little bottle and just have it on the side because I'm going to pounce my lavender flowers right on the areas and then just let them dry. I'm going to switch up using dark and light purple, so it looks like the other side. It is so fun to die cut with little pieces like this because you can really make something just how you want by customizing how the little pieces are laying on the card. It also is wonderful because you can use up some of your scraps. These two purple pieces were just scraps that I had in my purple area. I added a little Copic marker to them, and now that I'd say that this is used up, and I can make a really pretty card with some little scraps. How fun. This white paper over here is also a scrap that I just pulled out of my paper trash and I'm using for a little glue area. I will continue this process all the way up the stem. Now that all of the little flowers that I want to add are added on to this piece, I will just set it aside to dry just for a little bit. And I'm going to switch over to this purple and white card as that dries. So on this one, I used a 3D embossing folder, which was the embossing folder from January. I know it was super popular. You might have it in your craft room. And I know it was popular because it completely sold out. So yeah, it was popular. But I really do like this one. I think it is so pretty, especially on the pearlized white. It just has its own little party going on the card. So I'll just put it on this darker purple background, like so. Okay, now if you haven't tried wax sealing, you've got to try it. It's so fun and it's actually very relaxing. So if you are looking for something new to try with card making, definitely try it. You will not be sorry. I think it's really easy to get the hang of. Once you watch a couple of videos and just kind of play around with it, it really gets to be quite a bit of fun. And there's something about having a real flame and making a wax seal that just seems so natural. So I really do enjoy wax sealing. It's kind of like glimmering in that way. It's just like a warm, lovely thing of card making. Literally warm, but also kind of figuratively warm. Okay, now I cut the bottom of this lavender sprig off, as you can see, because I wanted it to extend down a little bit because my wax seal was a little larger. So I'm just going to put it on a little lower than where it would be if it was still glued on. So you can see there's a little gap there, and that's just fine with me. As long as it's going in the same direction, it should be fine. Now to put on my wax seal, I am just going to use some liquid glue. I don't think that it's too bumpy that it won't stick, but if you're just seeing these wax seals for the first time and you're wondering, well, oh, it's you don't actually pour onto the card. You can pour onto the card, but I prefer to make my wax seals on the silicone mat that comes in the wax seal kit from Spellbinders and then glue it on later exactly where I want it. And that just gives me really the authority to put the wax on my card and have it be just right. Alright, I'm just going to hold this down for just maybe a minute to let the glue catch on to any surface that it needs to. And as I'm looking at it, I really am loving the way this card is turning out. But I want to add some Wink of Stella to the lavender petals. So I'm just going to use my clear Wink of Stella and just brush on some shimmer onto the lavender. Oh wow, that's already just transforming these little petals even more. Well, I think I'll be using this on my other card as well. Once I start with the Wink of Stella, it just doesn't really want to stop. It's so pretty, and how fast is that to add some really pretty shimmer. All right, well, that card is almost finished. I couldn't decide if I wanted to add a sentiment on it or not. I think I'm gonna leave it. So I guess it is finished. All right, that is my finished card number 1. Now let's go back to this one. So now that this has had a chance to dry, it should be all ready to go. I suppose that I could have assembled these lavender pieces right on the card, but I used to do that quite a lot. I would assemble right onto the card base, but I would find that if I had an error or something wasn't straight, it would bother me. So I don't know, maybe it's just my personality. Sometimes it really bothers me, and sometimes I'm just kind of like, well, whatever, it's card making and you can make mistakes, but I really do like to add things as they are finished, so that's kind of been my thing, but that's fine with me. Okay, we're just gonna let that be for a minute. I'm gonna cut out one more of the greens. Since I used green scrap to make my first one, and actually my green for my lavender piece, I didn't have quite the exact green to match, but that's okay because it's kind of maybe showing some dimension. And as you can see here, I have some foiling on the back of this one because it was a oops foiling moment once upon a time ago. So we're just giving it new life on this card and just kind of rolling with it. Okay, now my glue has probably dried on the back of this, so I'm just going to kind of refresh it a little since it's been a couple minutes. All right, we'll put it on and then we'll put on our sentiment. When I went to go put on my sentiment, I just thought that this cream was a little bit chunky around the purple part of this sentiment, so I'm just going to use my little mini trimmer and cut off the chunky border and hopefully just have a little border. Getting this even is not my forte, so I'm just going to chop a little off and kind of guess and check, as you will, if you will, since this is a piece that was not a measured sentiment, so I can't just deduct a little bit off the sides with math. I hope that makes sense. Ay. Okay. Now that that's cut down, it is good to go. I'm going to use some foam to pop up this sentiment. These foam squares are left over from a card kit. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move some squares over and I'm going to use the waffle part because I want to leave the squares for a project that calls for little foam squares. This one is more of a large foam square project. So I'm going to use the waffle area. Now that's stuck to the back of my nail. Fun. The sentiment is so pretty. I love how scripty the font is, and I am a really big font person, so I just thought that that was really fun to see. For my essentials, we're going back to Christmas. I'm using some gems from the Santa Lane card kit. I'm going to use these silver ones. I think they would look really nice with my silver embossing powder. I'm going to use the chunkier ones because the card already has dimension with the popped up sentiment, so I feel like it's okay to use a larger embellishment on a card like this. Now the question is where to put the last one. Maybe here? Okay. Then to finish off the card all the way, I'm going to use my Wink of Stella again, and I will show you what it looks like at the end. Here's a look at both of the finished cards. I hope you've loved seeing some lavender cards today. I'd love to know which one is your favorite. Is it the cream one or the black one? Let me know in the comments. Be sure to check out the whole collection that Susan has released. There are some other flowers. I will be posting some more videos with some of the other flowers that she has on her channel pretty soon here this month. So go ahead and subscribe so you can see those later, and check out my channel for other card videos. I have a ton of videos at this point, so something's bound to inspire you, I hope. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye!